So hello friends, I am Neeraj. In this session, we'll be talking about interfaces in Go. So what are interfaces? So basically interfaces, they define a collection of functions. So but these functions will not have their function bodies. So rather these functions will only have the signature of the functions. So you can think of it like we are simply providing a set of function signatures, and actual behavior, whatever the function is going to do, so that would be left to the object or to the struct, whoever is going to implement that interface. Okay, so this is if you're coming from Java background or other object oriented programming languages like C++ or Java, so interfaces are there also. So but Go interfaces are not like Java. So in Java, so we have to use a keyword, implement keyword, in order to implement the interface. But in Go, so we have the implicit implementation of interfaces. So that is why, so there is no such implement keyword explicitly. Okay. So now the question comes in. So however, so how a struct implements interfaces? So there is one simple rule. So whatever function the interface is having with the same signature, and whoever a struct that is going to have the same set of functions with the same set of function signature, it will be treated as, it will be said that struct is implementing that interface. Okay, so we will see that very shortly, so don't worry. So at first point it looks to be a little confusing. So reason being that this is an implicit implementation and not explicit one. So better like first we will try to create our code, and we will explain it, we will understand it, what is happening under the hood. Okay, so in order to first, let us create a interface first. So in order to create an interface, so we have to, interface also is also a type, so we have to go with the keyword type, and then we will need to provide the name of our interface. So for example, say we are in the development industry. So we are having our managers and developers. So let us say we are going to have a worker interface. So the name of our interface would be worker, and it will be, we will use the keyword interface, and we will provide the curly braces. And this interface, we are going to say that every person, every worker, whether a developer or a designer or a manager, he has to do some work. So let us say we are going to have a function, so do work. This function will not accept any argument, and it is not going to return anything, simply like this. Okay, now let us say create a few struct. So we will say struct, we will say first type, and we will say type, let's say first we will call it manager, and it's a best practice to have it a capital letter, so manager, and this is going to be a struct. So this struct is going to have a, let's say a variable would be name, and the type would be a string, and also we will create another worker. So let's say call it developer. So this developer would also be a struct, will also be having some name, and that would be a type of string. Fine. So now, so this right now, so these are the, so this we have defined the interface, but we haven't actually implemented that. So for example, say in order to implement the interface, this is very simple, very simple actually. So say we are going to create a struct function. So let's say we will go with the keyword func. We will first create a struct function for the manager, that is going to be of type manager, and we will say all we have to do is we have to create a function with the same name of the interface function. So do work, this is not going to accept any argument, not going to return anything, and inside here we are simply going to say fmt.printf. We will say first the name of this worker is a manager, and is working his managerial works. Fine, and we will pass on here m dot name. Fine, and now first let us try to run our program. So we will create a instance of our manager first. So we will say manager, and the name would be say Neeraj. And now we can first let us try to call it with the struct functions. So do work, and if we run our program, so let us say go run main dot go. So we are getting the output. So Neeraj is a manager and is working his managerial works. Fine, and also let us have a /n after the as a new line character. Okay, so similarly we can also have another struct function for this our developer. So we will say this would be a developer type developer, and we will it is also going to have a function do work. And better, so we will copy this from here and we will paste it here, and we will simply replace it with the proper variables. Is a developer and is working his development work. Fine, and we can vary again. So we can create another instance of our developer, and his name is, let's say, Amit or Amit Kumar, and we can also call the do work function on it likewise. Okay, so now try to run our program. So here we are getting the output. So Neeraj is a manager and is working his managerial works, and Amit Kumar is a developer and is working his development works. So no problem. So our program is working fine. But actually, so although we have implemented this interface worker, but we haven't used it so far. So in order to use it, so use it within our application. So we can, instead of writing this, so first let us create a function actually, so that, for example, say every person is we have to assign some work, and that person that worker will do his own work. So let us create a function. So we will say assign work, and this function is going to accept a type of interface worker interface likewise, and this would simply call w dot do work. Simple. Now so we have created a function assign work, and this function is going to accept a type of the argument that is going to be accepted is the interface type. Okay, so interface of worker interface type. So now here also we can very simply call, let us see what happens. So this is very interesting, and this is how we can implement the implicit implementation of the interface. We can pass on the m here, and I will comment this line also, and likewise assign work, and here I will pass developer, the variable d, and I will comment this. Now let us try to run our program and see what happens. Okay, so here we are getting it. Neeraj is a manager and is working his managerial works, and Amit Kumar is a developer and is working his development work. But try to understand is that we are not actually calling calling the do work function of the manager. Rather, we are simply in the assign work. Actually, let me also get right of this so that we can have some better understanding, or some place, actually some nice place. So here actually what is happening here is that here in the we are with the variable m, we are creating a instance of our this manager, and we in the assign work function, so we are passing this variable m, and this variable m, so this is basically a type of manager, and inside this assign work, and we are expecting, so this assign work function is going to accept a type of interface. So that is why we are having a assign work in the w and worker. So worker is an interface, and here when this m is passed here, so this m is passed here, so we are calling the w dot do work here. Rather, let me omit it here. So we are calling w dot do work here. So what does w is? So this w refers, so since this is so actually, so in this worker interface we have defined only one function, do work function, and this, let me first clear this out here, and in the this manager struct function, so this function is also having this do work function. Then our compiler knows it very well, that they are, and compiler is actually very smart enough that it will understand it, that okay, so this manager struct is going to implement the worker interface implicitly, because this function, this struct function, this struct is actually having a struct function named do work that was defined in the worker interface. So this is why whenever here what is happening here, at the very first time when we pass this this manager instance into the assign work, so that is why we are able to call the w dot do work, and what this w is defining. So this w will refer to the manager and and actually with this w dot do work, so we are initiating this the do work function of the manager struct. So that is why we are getting this output when we try to execute for the very first time, when this at line number 32, when this assign work and with the parameter as the manager, that would be passed. So that is why we are getting this output. And for the second time also, when we are passing it as a developer instance, so it is again happening the same thing, that since our developer struct is having a function named do work, that is of the same method signature, and that is why we are, whenever this line got executed, so actually for this w dot do work, actually we are referring to this function of the developer struct. Now let us try to understand one more thing. So what if we change the method signature? For example, say this do work function is going to return some int. Okay, now if we try to run our program again, so let us see what happens. So we will get an error. Reason being that the errors are also very clear. So this is saying that cannot use m, variable of type manager, as worker value in the argument to assign work. Reason being that manager does not implement worker. Okay, so with this implicit implementation, so Go says only one thing, that this worker interface says only one thing, that whoever is going to have this function with the name do work, that is going to return an integer, that would be a type of worker, right? So if we remove this int, now if we try to run it, very simply we are getting the output correctly as it is, very clearly as intended, as expected. So here again the same thing is happening, that this worker interface is saying that I have a function named do work, I am not going to accept any argument, I am not going to return anything. So if anybody, any struct or any struct, so whatever the name, whatever struct is, if that is going to have this method, this function named do work without any argument, without any return value, so you are going to be of worker type. Okay, so actually like it will take some time to understand this. This is a bit confusing actually, interface in Go. So there is no explicit implementation, rather everything is happening implicit one. So but once you understand the concept very well, so life would be much easier. And actually in the next session, so there are two more things that is very important actually. So there lies the more strength of our struct. There one is the type assertion, we are going to see in the next session. And also in Go, so interface is also a type. Interface is also a type. We can pass a parameter of type interface actually. So these two things we are going to see in the next session, and that is why at first glance the concept of interface in Go, that looks a little confusing and a little puzzling. Okay, but never mind. So this is very simple actually. It only takes just a fair understanding. And as I said earlier, so the moment you get adapted to it or understand the concept very well, very firmly, very clearly, so things would be much more easier. Okay, so if you have anything to say, so please do let me know in the comment section. And I will see you in some other session. So till then, take care and happy coding.